Welcome to the San Clemente podcast, the only local podcast in the best beach town in the world. We're here to bring you weekly episodes highlighting everything from sports, culture, entertainment, politics, and everything else this beach town has to offer. Welcome back to the San Clemente podcast, the fastest growing podcast in the best beach town in the world. Today, we are very excited to bring an amazing guest on the podcast, a culinary extraordinaire, someone that has had a tremendous positive impact on our community here in San Clemente, someone who continues to innovate and thrive in the culinary world and just all around. So, Gabe, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. Stoked to be here.
Awesome. So, new venture in town, opening up the Parlor. We can hit a little bit on the Vine to start, but share with us a little bit about how the Parlor came to be.
So Parlor kind of was an idea that we've always had. We've always wanted to do either Italian or Mexican food. We wanted to go into that. And when we kind of heard about brick, possibly David wanted to sell that, we sat down and we go, what could we put across from our first little baby vine that would not affect that location, but that would also be something that we need in town that we don't have? And we're like, well, La Siesta's gone. Maybe Mexican food could go in there. And we're like, no, there's South of Nix. They do a great job. There's enough Mexican food in town. So we're like, well, our next thing should be Italian, because where is there a spot? And my favorite line is, where is there a spot where you can go have a cocktail and a piece of pizza in town and feel like you're getting that full experience? I do love beer and wine. That's great. But I want a cocktail. I want to go out and have a martini, slice of pizza with my wife, and have a pizza, some pasta, and there was nowhere like that. You had to go to like Angelina Bottega or had to go to Laguna. And for me, I was like, we need something like that. And I think that's kind of where it came from, where we're like, this is what we need to do. And I think it's the only thing that will actually fit in that spot. And I think we nailed it, to be honest. I think it's something that people in town wanted. That's
amazing. So who got together? You said we all got together to sit down. Is this a team that
It is. Okay. It's a team. There's four of us. There's Russ. We call him the Phil Jackson of the team. He's the guy that we all come together and we all are units of the team. So there's Jared, Chef Boyardee. I make a joke, but Jared Cook, he's the guy that does all the food from the beginning. He's one of my business partners. Then you have Kyle Simpson. He's the front of the house guru with all the staffing and how to operations wise. And then you have me who do all the beverage side of it. So I'm always on top of all the basically wine list, cocktail list. And then we all come together as one big unit and just figure out how we want our culture to be. How do we want to be creative? And then our big thing here is just consistency. We all know that. And then community, and how do we make that part of the community and become just a restaurant group that works really well together.
That's amazing. I don't want to speak too much on behalf of Brian, but I will. I will right now. We talk frequently about how the Vine is just one of our absolute favorite restaurants. And I don't know if it's the food, the people, a combination of both. So to say we're excited for the Parlor and the new opening, you guys just do it right. You make people feel like family. You treat people really, really well. And maybe it is the team. Maybe it's the team aspect. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe you can talk on that.
Yeah, I think it's the part of, obviously we're all operating into it. So that's a huge part of it. We're not just owners that just kind of, hey, you guys figure it out. We're there to help and support the team, but also make it so it's a connection to the guests. And I think what we've done really well when we took over Vine is a good example. We took over Vine from Justin Monson, who's a family friend of ours, and we bought it from him, and he had it for 10 years. We took it over, and people were like, oh, who are these guys? And then they found out, oh, there's Gabe, who's born, raised San Clemente kid, born at San Clemente Hospital, lived above 204, went to San Clemente High School. And then you have these other guys that I met working at Outback Steakhouse in Laguna Hills, bussing tables to bartending with. Right. And you have Jared, who worked underneath him. All of us together kind of make this perfect connection with all working in the same restaurant together. And it's proven with our staff that they're like, wow, these guys aren't just telling us what to do. They'll actually do it with them. And we try to show them how we connect with the guests by hugging, kissing, high-fiving, making sure we're asking the questions about the guest. And I don't want to give away all of our secrets, but there's something that we do that I don't think a lot of people do, is we have these things called connection cards, and we came up with them, but they're a really cool way of connecting with the guests. Every time there's guests that come into the restaurant and we have a reservation, we try to give these cards to our server staff and be like, hey, get us the name, where are they from, where do they live, what's their favorite food, is there dislikes they don't like, is there likes they like, what's their birthday? And we take this information, and thank God for Open Table, you can plug it in there and it'll stay in there. So we have it, so every time they go to any one of our locations, this information, if they make a reservation, pops up. And so it makes it a perfect way of connecting with the guests and making it so if the staff's never met them, they already have information on them. And it's really, it's a secret, but it's something that's, we've take pride in to make sure we push our staff to do it. So
you do feel like that. I mean, that's a big, I was telling you earlier, you go around town, oh, we're having Gabe on the podcast. Oh, Gabe's my best bud. I know. It's like everyone's best buddy. And that's the way you make everyone feel when they come in, and it makes that repeat easier. You know what? We're going to go to Vine tonight, you know? So like, kudos to you guys for creating that. However you end to do it. It makes it feel like a neighborhood spot. You're welcome.
Yeah.
And then the product is top notch. So we love it.
Appreciate it.
But no, back to your story. So you said Vine.
Yeah.
For you guys.
Yep.
Started it.
Yep.
Now you have 6, including pantry. You got 7 spots.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that progression. Like, what was the first, or the started Vine? What was the next one? What was that process? Was it like,
so
how did that go?
So they say, obviously, that the first restaurant's difficult to get up and going. Number 2 is very difficult because you're trying to figure out how to split time and make it work. We're blessed with 4 of us, so it's a little different. So when we went to Ironwood, which is kind of trippy on that spot, we actually made a joke when we were like 21 years old going, we should open a spot on the top of that hill, because that's the Outback we worked at was down below.
Yeah.
We're like, we should open a restaurant at that location, which was Elephant Bar back in the day. And you fast forward those 17 years, and that was the second restaurant we did a full build out. So we opened that up. Obviously, it had some stress and your learning ability of how to like run 2. Then you kind of start, the third one is the one where it's like, it's a little chaotic. You're trying to figure out how to balance. You got to get people that you believe in for each location, and you got to believe that they're going to do exactly what you're going to do. And so when you grow from 3, it gets a little bit more difficult. But once you start having the people take over and understand that the first one's been open, now the second one's been open, the third one starts getting a little bit easier once you get it up and running. The 4th, I mean, that came into Sapphire, and that was during COVID. That's a whole different can of worms. Sure. But we opened that during the craziness. We got it literally the 16th, and we shut down on the 17th of March. And that was wild. Like, I remember being at Sunsets, because my birthday's on the 16th, and I was like, we're being at Sunsets that Sunday, and I was like, we get the notification shutting down all bars because they didn't want to be open for St. Patrick's Day. And I remember sitting at Sunsets having a beer and going, are you kidding me? This is crazy. I'm like, that's unreal. And next day we're shut down, and we all went to, basically, depending on what Russ, we were all sitting there going, what do we do? All right, we can start selling craft cocktails out the door. We can start selling food. So we just had to figure that out. Yeah. And we just had to do it at all locations, trying to like make it work. And then once we opened up, it was back to just normal style, just craziness, busy restaurants, just getting the systems in place. Bloom was the next step. And I think after that, we've built a great team to be at each location. Every location has an operating partner running those ones, and they've taken on their spot. And so they're now understanding our culture and how to deal with the guests, hugging, kissing, kiss the baby, say hello to everyone, be the mayor of the location, mayor of that city. Right. And that's kind of how we've built it, is by giving that operating partner who buys in with the restaurant and then also gets a piece of the big pie, which is the only way people do things these days. They got to feel like they're part of it, and they are. And they're the reason why they need to be the mayor of that spot to build that location. Right. So it's pretty cool. I mean, we've seen the 4 of us have been able to develop each location, and they all have different vibes. Yeah. The 4 of them, the 5 of the locations have the similar style of food, but just each executive chef at those locations get to kind of make a different feel to their specials and to a few of the items on there.
And is the executive chef, is he doing all the menu, and he's in charge of ordering food and doing, it's like it's standalone? Yeah.
So each location has an operating partner and then their executive chef for that location. Gotcha. And then so each one has that. And then there's us, the 4 of us, who kind of just go through and make sure that they're running their their successful business and making sure they're following our culture and our standards.
Sweet.
But yeah, it's been crazy. It's a tough one though. It's from 1 to 2 was brutal. 3 was difficult. 4 was like, okay, we're just getting through it. And then 5 has been a lot simpler. And then this one is just a different beast because it's nice. It's in town.
Sure.
Hey, when you run out of something, you're like, oh, I'll run over to Vine and grab something. Like I'm playing Frogger going across the street, trying to grab some basil from there or grab, what was it the other day? It was brandy cherries.
Sure.
There's always something.
Yeah. So tell me about how you guys came up with the menu at Parlor. We went, my wife and I and the kids went on last week. It was awesome. Yeah. Loved it.
Love that.
We tried every appetizer, tried 2 cocktails. We got a chicken parm and the pizza. The boys got a pizza.
Heck yeah.
It was, I mean, those wings you were talking about, killer.
Yeah. Those wings are game changers. They've been like, it's funny because you can't find them anywhere. They're like specially French cut. You have to like special order them from a butchery if you really want to get them, like a butcher shop. But they call them French cut chicken wings, and he has this perfect amount of spice to the barbecue flavor on there. But they're the women love them because they can literally just bite them and take the whole piece of meat right off, and there's no cartilage. There's nothing that they're like disgusted by. And
they're working through
them, and they're so good.
They are really good.
But they've been a highlight. I mean, it's funny, certain things that are going to be highlights. We knew those are going to be great.
Yeah.
But they're also, I make a joke. I'm like, they're $8.99 a pound. I'm like, when do you go to buy chicken wings and go, $8.99 a pound? You're high as a kite.
Right.
like, what weed are you smoking right now for that?
Right. Yeah.
It's fun. It's cool to see they're well worth every penny you're getting out of them. But they're awesome.
Good. That's amazing.
There's also a part that the wings are so amazing, but they forget there's these celery that he puts on there that you think is cucumber, but he's pickled these thin strips of celery. And I'm not joking. One of my favorite things added to it. Like you always think of celery and wings, but he did this pickled celery that just to die for.
Yeah.
To die for.
That's incredible. So out of the 4 of you guys, who would you say is like the visionary? Who's driving it forward? Or is it a combination of all of you guys? Or are there different skill sets that you each bring to the table?
I think it's a skill set part of it. We all want to push the envelope. Jared is the mastermind of the food. So when we come with a concept, he has menus galore in his head that he wants to do. So when we come with a concept like the Parlor, he was like, I can't wait to write this up. So he writes it up. We'll probably go through 20 different menu change-ups and things working out.
And is this being bounced back and forth between the 4 of you guys?
It's all
primarily?
of us doing it, but you'll see a lot of Jared that's the food. You let him just do it. And then we'll talk about it, and then he'd be like, oh, maybe I'll change this. And we had to really shorten that menu. That menu was actually probably half the size of it was when we first started. But for execution-wise, figuring out the pizza dough, it's a 3-day process to get the dough the way we want it. Like, it's not like everyone, I think, forgets that pizza dough is not something you just whip up in like 2 minutes. It's like it's a 3-day process for that sourdough and really cool pizza dough. So it's part of the challenge is figuring that out.
Right.
And one thing cool to give a little background on Jared, which is he's one of those people that's so hyper focused on things that like when he gets excited about something, it's all he can think about. And from golf to backgammon, for example, he gets so hyper focused on playing backgammon with his daughters that he went out and bought like a $350 backgammon board, and he thought that was crazy. Then you hear that he bought a $3,000 one because he was so hyper focused about like, I got to have the best of the best. Like if I'm going to do this, I'm going to be the best of the best and have the best tools. Right. So anything he does, it's always that.
So do you get to like, hey, I've got 10 pizzas that I want to put on the menu.
Yeah.
Do you get to try all that, like in that process? Like, is he cooking all of this stuff for you guys, and that's how you're coming together with the final product?
Yeah. So he's one of those people he can just think off his head. He's like, these flavors will work.
Yeah.
And he'll write it up. And he'll write up the flavors and be like, okay, I'm going to make these pizzas. For me, I'm like, I'm not worried about them. In my head, I'm like, the sound, the flavor profiles and what he has to write them up. Like he hasn't even made the actual exactable ingredients. He just knows the ingredients that are going into it. And then he'll adjust as he goes. But yeah, we get to taste them and be like, oh, that's amazing. That's phenomenal. Maybe we need to add a little something here. And we'll all bounce stuff off each other. And it's pretty cool of how.
I want to be part of that.
Yeah.
It's
can you invite us to the taste test?
You get extra thick during that time. He actually is a tall, skinny guy, and he lost 13 pounds. We were joking around. I lost 25 during that thing because opening a restaurant, all you do is work and you're stressed. And you're not hungry and you're over it. And you're just like, he's a skinny guy. and he loses 13 pounds. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a lot of stress and stuff because it's all on his shoulders.
Sure.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
to get the food and to get it out from the kitchen to the guest and make sure it's a quality product and it's great.
Yeah.
He's got to train everyone. And he has Nate, who's the executive chef there, and he does an amazing job. And both of them did a great job of getting that one. But that's a high stress spot. That's not a up and running.
It's got to
easy.
feel good though once you get everything out there and getting positive feedback.
Yeah.
You're like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely. So where is he at on a day-to-day basis? Does he rotate between the restaurants or?
yeah, he rotates. If someone's calling and needs, hey, we need some help with staffing, or could be we're having an issue with, we noticed Yelp, something popped up and there was a couple of them on the same, say the duck wing sauce was off. He'll go over there and he'll look through and figure out what the issue is. But he, on a day-to-day basis, he's bouncing everywhere. With Parlor opening, it's been 24/7. I mean, I think we all went about 30 or 40 days straight. So we were pretty nonstop.
Yeah.
So it's been, I mean, I finally took my first full day off on Sunday, and I was like, that was 42 days straight.
That's wild.
So
People don't understand, right? We get to go there as patrons and just sit down, enjoy a cocktail, have a great
See a
meal,
finished product.
and see a finished product.
Yeah.
People don't get to look behind the scenes of how much hard work and sweat and tears. Like that's a serious amount of hard work.
yeah, I mean, Russ is definitely the craziest one out of all of us. 'Cause
Really?
he does a lot of the back of the house stuff. Obviously, the front of the stuff too. He's walking through each restaurant and stuff. But he's one of those guys. He'll be at night. Just I'll get emails at 2:00 in the morning. His brain's always on.
Yeah.
So he may not work midday hanging out with his family and doing stuff, but then he's back to went through the restaurants. Okay, sent all these emails out. He's dealing with the back of the house vendors and stuff, bringing our pricing down. And it's crazy. He's just a beast. I mean, if you're going to have a leader, the leader that works the most is the key. And he's one of them. I mean, we're workaholics, but he is a champion of all that. It's crazy. And his brains and the way he works is pretty unreal.
Wow. What kind of goals do you guys have? So you're at 6, 7 with the other one. How many restaurants, or do you guys think that far ahead? Are you looking at opening 20 more, or what?
I think this one, the pantry, may be something that we kind of all been joking around about it, but we think it could be something where it's like we could put this next to our other concepts and not have it affect it. So it'd be kind of cool to
Interesting.
piggyback them somewhere else
yeah.
close by. But I also think this one could be one where we kind of blend almost like a Vine and Parlor together and do a little bit of pizza burger blend.
Ooh, I love it.
So it could be something that we could maybe pop a bunch of them up the coast and be like, this is the cool new trendy pizza parlor, but also have burgers and stuff to there. Maybe it could be something there, but I think our ultimate goal for us is to keep developing a small group that just builds restaurants and keep them at a high quality and high consistency. And eventually someone's going to want to come by and be like, what's this formula? Let's figure it out. Maybe we are the group that invests into you guys, and let's try to get 20 of these in the next 10 years.
Right.
Yep.
That's what we kind of, I think
Just
that's
keep it kind of organic.
organic. Yeah. And if you watch, and one of the groups that we always watch is the Hillstone group, which is R&D Houston's Gulfstream. They do an amazing job, and their consistency, they don't fall far from what they're at. Nick's kind of follows their programs too, which is, as we've seen, the Nick's group does a great job as well. But we kind of want to be that group, but still we have a little bit more of an edge and a little more of like a
personality.
Yeah, personality to the business. We don't want to be just cookie cutter. We want to be not militaristic. We want to still have that connection to the community.
Yeah.
Yep. Who are you guys going to for advice and mentorship and leadership? Is there someone that you look to for that?
You know, it's funny. Russ's dad was at one point was the president of Cheesecake Factory. His dad was Habit Burger. He was the CEO for Habit Burger. He grew them from 15 units to, I think they're like 350 units now, 300 units now. But he grew them. And for us, it's great to see, as knowing him since I was like 17, 18 years old, we've learned a lot from him. But we've also learned a lot from just watching our peers who are also restaurant people that once we started opening, it's like you take in information and see what they're doing. And you got to always be reading and learning about other people. I don't say reading a book, but learning about restaurants and their cultures and seeing how they work. And you just gotta see what works and what doesn't work. And we're blessed with all of us really focusing and just keeping it simple. KISS, KISS, keep it simple. Stupid.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. And
It's-
even with the menu, right? Like
Yeah.
you referenced the Elephant Bar back
Yeah.
in the day, right? Those types of restaurants had huge menus,
Yeah.
way too many items.
Yeah.
And now you look at, the Nick's or the Vine, your guys' concept, it's a simple one-page back-to-back menu.
Yeah. And it makes it easier. And
Yeah.
then people aren't stressed out going, oh my God, I can't figure out what I'm going to order. It's like,
Exactly.
you got all the choices that you need. You have your chicken, you have your beef, and all those options just need to be smaller. People need to be simplified a little bit more.
Yes.
And make it easier.
Exactly. And a lot of people want to be told, right,
Yeah.
what to do or what to
Seriously.
order as well.
Sure.
Right? It's like out of these two, and again, you guys do a great job at it,
Yeah.
but you get your entire staff to buy in,
That's
which is huge.
that's the number one goal in this thing is really the culture of the staffing and having them believe that they are selling great food and that we're always trying to be as consistent as possible. And then everyone makes mistakes, everything happens, but it's how we adjust from those and how we can try to be 1% better every day. And if we can be 1% better, we're going to be amazing by the end of the year. That's for sure.
I'm going to backpedal a little bit. I don't know if you caught it, but you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that you were born at San Clemente Hospital.
Mhm.
I too was born at San Clemente Hospital. Were you as well
I
or
was
no?
not- No.
So I was 83. What year were you?
82.
Okay. Right
Yeah.
then and there.
Yeah.
So grew up in San Clemente your entire life. Like I don't think there's many people that I know at least that were born at San Clemente Hospital. So you go way back. You were in this community truly, right?
Oh,
To
yeah.
do so many great things. You care about it.
Oh, I care about it. I mean, I don't think I can ever let it go. Like part of San Clemente is if you're born here, you're stoked. If you're not born here, but you live here now, you become part of this culture. And it's like, I always love, there's people, I've been here for 20 years. And I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
San Clemente, I'd want to be here for 20 years too. I mean, I've traveled and lived other places and done stuff. But I've been like, San Clemente is where I want to end. It's where I want to be.
Yeah.
The people just the way how it's a small knit group of a small town can only grow so big and it can only be so big. And it's people that want to be here. It's not because they're forced to be here. It's like, this is a great place to live. And it's San Clemente. I mean, I Boys and Girls Club. I try to donate to that whenever I can. I do they have 2 different charity events, and I always give away basically it's a dinner that we go, hey, it's a 6-person dinner, 6 courses, and I bring out some wine paired with each one of them, and I'll pull out nice bottles of wine that I have that I'll put on there, and we'll cook up awesome new dishes on there for them. And we try to donate just cool things to that. And that's my big one that I like to do because I lived right
Sure.
near there. And that's a place where I used to go to be like a cool spot as a kid. Like, where do you go to go play? It's like they have the basketball hoops or
Yeah, we spent a lot of time at the Boys and Girls Club.
Tons of
growing up.
time.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's fun. I mean, it's how you can give back a little bit to the community too and be there. And whenever I see them, it's cool to see that Rob and a couple other guys that run that come in and they're all stoked that we take care of them and they take care of us.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's San Clemente's it's the best town, I swear to God, in California.
It absolutely is. And that's why I like our shtick, right? The
Yeah.
best beach town in the world.
Yeah.
It really is the best town in America. Like I will die on the hill saying that.
Heck yeah.
Honestly, like I
Yeah.
truly believe it. There's no place like San Clemente. It's the best.
Yeah. It's got everything you need, and it's pretty cool to see. And please let me pass away and die in those hills.
Yep. Exactly.
No, it's
That's amazing. So you have a background in, is it like I don't want to say your focus, but like your strength, or call it what you will, is like the alcohol side, the liquor side, the cocktail side. Where did that come from?
So that was kind of when I started it out back with the guys. We bust tables to bartending, get to bartending, and then I just learned that I had this kind of gift of gab and joking around and being, I call it the drop the mic syndrome. So I'll go talk with people and then I'll kind of make a joke as I kind of go to the next thing to kind of exit out, because it's hard to leave conversations.
It's
but
very
if you
hard.
but if you have the good drop the mic, then you can get away to the next guest and do that. So I always made it fun, but I always learned that you could interact with people and get people to interact with the other guests sitting there. So then you're having this part where you don't have to babysit the guests. And I learned that. And then what that made me learn is when I went to other things up in, went into South Coast Plaza. I was at Charlie Palmer's. I really got into like making cool, fun cocktails. And then it was a cocktail bar. So now we're doing bar programs, doing wine, doing your level 1 Psalms and learning those 2 as well. And just learning about wine. And just all of us got so into that time between 2000s all the way up to where 2010, I just focused in on making good money, learning about cocktails. And I was like, when we're ready to pull the trigger on this restaurant, I'll have a really cool cocktail list and we'll get it up and running. Awesome. And because of that, I got to learn. I read a lot. I learned about all the different ways of learning about each type of alcohol, how they mix, what doesn't work, what does work. And then from that, it's just from Vine, it just evolved from that. And it's fun. I mean, it's cool. It's a blessing to learn all that stuff. And then having one of us in each one of those roles. Like I do the beverage, cocktails. I write up a cocktail list for Parlor. I've never made any of these cocktails. I just wrote them up. I was like, that sounds good. Okay, cool. We'll figure those out when we get to opening. Just like Jared will write up a menu and we're guessing that's going to take, not guessing, we know it's going to taste good, but how do we make it? Finalizing the perfect ingredients and how it's portioned is like, that's going to be the day of when we finally finalize it. So it's pretty crazy. It's fun though.
How do you come up with so we were at Parlor the other night and there's a spicy Tina. Yeah. There's got to be a story behind. Oh. There's got to be somebody that's a spicy Tina, because we were like, we have a Tina in our friend group, and she's kind of spicy. I'm like, oh, they know spicy Tina, but I'm like, no, I'm sure Gabe has a spicy Tina. So like,
you're gonna love this.
Yeah, I want to hear.
You're gonna love this.
I want to hear the spicy Tina.
If you are San Clemente and you are San Clemente, there's only one spicy Tina in the world, and Tina and Vince's was the only spicy Tina, and my wife will laugh about this because I call Tina my girlfriend. Okay. And my wife still gets a kick out of it when they see each other. They laugh about it. Oh, there's your girlfriend. And so Tina would come into the restaurant and I'd make her a cocktail. And I've always made it. She likes a little spicy, just like she is. And so it was kind of my donation to the San Clemente and being like, hey, if you knew who Tina was and spicy Tina, you know how spicy was. God bless her. She's the best. But she would be the first person to be like, end of the line, if you didn't know your order. If you want to change your order or you wanted to add mayo to things.
I was just going to say.
End of the line. Or she'd give you and I love her to death because that's how old school Italian delis were. They don't give a flying frog leap. No, what you think. They literally tell you how they feel and you're out the door.
I love it.
And it's great. I had to give that to the little donation to her because she's.
I love that was that. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that's all. Yeah. No. And it's funny. she hasn't come in yet. I've been waiting, but she's heard about it from Christina Carbonara. Sure. And all of them told her about it. But
that's great.
I can't wait to come in because when she comes in, we're going to give her the slow golf clap, just all right when she walks in because she's amazing.
Oh yeah, gosh. I mean, Tina and Vince's legacy. Oh,
it's the best.
Right? I mean, the absolute best. We got to find them another spot. That would be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I would love for them to do another one, but I think she's enjoying being retired and doing her. She goes to Palm Springs like every other weekend. Yeah. She's literally living the life.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
I mean, and they had a good run here in San Clemente.
Gosh, I went to quite a few Christmases where my wife's family would do the Italian Christmas. So they'd always get the raviolis and get all the things. And now they have to go find random places to find the perfect Italian food for them because they're the zucchalatos. So they obviously need Italian food always for that. So it's I wish they did have somewhere like that.
I know. That would be amazing. If you haven't been yelled at by Tina to either get to the back of the line or she's the best. Yeah. And that whole family, Michelle Carbonara. Yeah. Great people. Yeah. Great people.
No, it's pretty amazing.
Is there any other little, like at any of the other restaurants, any of those little drink names?
Drink stories? Names kind of stories. I mean, for Vine, that was kind of like my first play on just like bringing a fun cocktail list to town. I kind of represent each one of them will have like a little donation to like San Juan has the Ortega. Yeah. I actually moved to San Juan for a little bit, so I lived in San Juan. So I used to skateboard, and when rollerblading was cool, we'd rollerblade in there and be little roller monkeys rolling around in there. We'd beg for quarters and stuff on there. But I always try to give like little things that I had as a kid because I think cocktails kind of go hand in hand of like feelings that you had, like the sticks at San Juan. There's a little straw that goes in the Ortega, and those kids, they're little Tajin and chamoy things. We used to have those as a kid walking around down there and chewing on them all the time. So like again for Parlor, there's the little watermelon candies that are on the El Camino Real, and those are candies that I sold at San Clemente High School or at Marker Forster because I had to end up going to Marker Forster, and I used to sell them for 50 cents a piece, and I get them in Rosarito, and we go down there as a family, and I come back and sell them, and they're watermelons with the tahini and all that stuff on there.
I love those things, by the way.
They're the best.
Ever.
But I was like making this
so
cocktail,
good,
and the only flavor I could come up with was like,
Yes.
it just represents that candy. So I have them on all the cocktails. But it's that story that we all have as a kid, like selling candy or selling Airheads or whatever it was. Like I was always trying to sell something to make some extra cash on the side so I could either buy lunch or just buy something that I wanted. So, but it's funny. Yeah, the cocktails, you always got to have something fun. And I always try to come up with some random new names like Less Thinking, More Drinking or the One and Done at Vine that people love. And
I love it.
Gosh, the watermelon sucker with the tahini just brought me back to Mexico.
oh yeah. Big
Those are
time.
the best.
That's so fun.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
We talked about Mexico a little bit before the podcast. A lot of people may not know that you are an unbelievably good surfer.
I do like to dabble in that a little bit.
I couldn't believe when I saw on Instagram I shouldn't say I couldn't believe, but I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe just one of the things I did.
It's like hanging 10.
No,
Joe 360s.
no.
It's
It
like,
wasn't
what the
just,
hell?
it was unbelievable surfing. So you've always been a great surfer, or just growing up in San Clemente, just part of you, or?
So I was bodyboarder. So I was just always a sponger when I was younger. Riviera, I would do Riviera days. And grew up with, I'm diaper buddies with Nate Yeoman. So we both lived near each other in San Juan, but we'd go to Riviera all the time. And so I'd be bodyboarding and he'd be surfing and he'd be on one side, I'd be on the other. And we'd get little sand barrels and having fun. Yeah. But surfing kind of came to me because I was just like, I'm done bodyboarding. Surfing was needed to be done. And I switched to surfing when I was like 17 and it clicked. It just all of a sudden I was like, all right, surfing's all I want to do. So I literally would just wake up early, surf before school, make sure you have 0 periods, so you're out before at noon, you're surfing every day. And it just became that addiction. If I wasn't surfing, then I was on my longboard, skateboarding up and down the street and trying to figure out how my footwork. And because of that, I got so addicted to it. It was like travel every time. I'm like, my senior trip was me taking JJ Wessels, who's an amazing pro longboarder, and both of us, he was 16, I was 18, and we drove down to Scorpion Bay, and that was our trip. Us just brought Tang and peanut butter and jelly, and we sat there for 2 weeks, literally surfing every day and just trying to master what we do and just having fun. And from there, it's like you just have that ultimate. Surfing is the only thing I care about, and it's all I want to do. And I got so addicted, I loved it, and I got pretty good at it. I mean, people still to this day say I defy gravity because I'm such a big boy. You put 300 pounds on the front of a board and I'm still hanging 10. And they're like, how is that board even holding you up there?
That's wild.
Yeah.
And to be able to transition from a bodyboard to a surfboard, that doesn't click for a lot of people. But for you, it did. It was just an easy transition.
Yeah, I think it was just learning the balance and that stuff. And I think it's when you kind of just, that's all you think about. Like I was dreaming that, skateboarding that. Everything I did was just about how I can get that feeling. And it's somehow just transferred. I guess I have good balance. My business partners make a joke on me because I hop on a ladder and I just climb right up there. No big deal. They're up there like wobbling and I'm up on the top painting stuff or having fun.
Yep.
I just have good balance, I guess. That's what I got.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the good old San Clemente live. And Brian and I joke too, right? As a professional football player, best center to have ever played for the Saints for sure. But growing up in San Clemente, right?
Yeah.
Surfing and just being involved in all the other sports. Brian's like, as a center and a football player, all the sports combined helped him with his footwork and everything else. And
There's
so
no doubt about it that surfing helped me. Like my O-line, there's a lot of shoulder stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm surfing, my shoulders don't hurt.
Yeah.
If I stop surfing, all of a sudden I'm just like, man. Like summertime, I have not been surfing as much. We've been going down to T Street, and the kids are super into boogie boarding right now. So I haven't been surfing.
Yeah.
And my shoulder's kind of bugging.
Yeah.
And it's like surfing fixes it all. Like you get that connection with nature, you get a little bit of exercise, and all of a sudden you're like, have a better day.
Yeah.
And like, I love it.
I got to hear about this bug. My 13-year-old daughter, all she cares about, like, I kid you not, she'll surf for 8 hours a day like that. She could be stressed out, right?
Yeah.
She needs that fix. It's wild.
Yeah.
That's it.
It is. It's
the wildest. I've never seen it. I've heard stories.
Yeah.
And somehow my daughter got that bug.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best addiction you can give her.
So you surfed. Did you ever surf competitively?
So I did like quite a few like longboard professional contests and stuff.
Sweet.
I had fun doing it. It
Yeah.
wasn't like anything like I did them, but I was never really like longboarding back kind of when that transition. There wasn't like there's a lot more contests and stuff now.
Right.
Back then there was a lot more of like club contests, a few pro contests here and there. So I enjoyed it. It was fun. I mean, for me, it's first contest I did, I got 5th, first one ever doing. And I was like, oh, this is cool to do. I'm like, I guess I'm okay at this.
Right.
But it's something that you kind of just forget that I just cared about scoring. And that was my goal. And I think people kind of, for a while there, I would just be swell come up and I'd be like, I'm in Baja.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm going, this will be the good spot. Oh, Santa Barbara, this will be good. Okay, I'll go up there for that. And so I became like the source of like, hey, where are you going for this one? I think I'm going on to Baja. Oh, that's a good call. And I was just chasing waves and chasing that.
And you never got burnt out.
No, I never. I'd be the guy surfing 8 hours. Like I'd be the guy who'd be the first one in the water, get out, eat a power bar or chug 2 waters.
Yep.
And then I'd go back out and surf another 6 hours and I'd be surfing all day long and not even flinch. And the next day I'd do it all over again. And it's just that you're just so into it that I had the ability to do it. And most people would be like, I surf 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and I'm done. I'm like, I'll go home and take a nap real quick and then I'll come back and surf one more time.
Yeah. I tell my daughter all the time, never lose the love. Like this is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
You see a lot of parents and even kids getting caught up in the competition of it. I'm like, it's surfing.
Yeah.
You have to love it. And some of the parents like driving their kids so hard and forcing. I'm like, what are you doing that for?
Yeah.
Right? Like, so I make sure to always tell my daughter, never lose that love
All
for
sports.
this. Yeah. And it should be for all sports.
Yeah.
But we live in a time where people, and you've got your youngest is your first, right?
First one, yeah.
Is how old?
He just turned a year.
He just turned a year. Congratulations.
Little walker.
Yeah.
Not walking yet, thank God, but he's almost there.
Wait till he's climbing over the
Oh
table.
yeah, jeez
Doing
Louise.
somersaults off the couch.
Yeah, he's a little beast. He's gonna be super funny. He's got so much personality, and so it just so psychs you up every day when I'm like, I finally have a day to hang with him or take him to the pool, and he's just like the splash guy. Boom, boom, boom. And he did it for literally an hour and a half straight, just boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, you're going to be one of those party boys, aren't you, guys? Just throwing the full splashes in Vegas style. That's crazy.
Did you ever know you could love something or someone that much?
Gosh, I don't think so. I mean, it's crazy. I call myself I'm a crier. So if I get all souped up and I hear something, I can get a little teary eyed. But like you love this little guy. I mean, there's nothing better than that. I mean, it's
the best.
You don't choose him; he's yours. I mean, you made him, but you don't get to choose him. Like that's who it is. And like I always say, that's the first thing you choose is your wife, and you're like, I love you. That's the ultimate love. And then you have this kid, and you're like, that's a total different love for the kid, because the kid is something that's like you've both made him, and it's wild.
Yep. Will you have more kids too?
Yeah, I think we're gonna start trying. I'll give my 30 seconds in November or December.
That's pretty good.
My wife says she had him for 9 months, and you had him for about 30 seconds. So that's all I get out of that.
That's pretty good, dude. Honestly.
Yeah, but yeah, so that'll be. We're gonna try in November. My wife's sister and her best friend are getting married, so she wants to be able to have fun and not be like go to the bachelorette parties and have fun. And I'm like,
yeah.
We can wait.
Was it relatively easy for you guys to?
We were blessed by whoever.
Yeah.
God bless you, God. But we planned a year.
Yep.
And literally we started trying that month, and it happened.
That's awesome.
So hopefully it'll be the same. Who knows? I mean, there's nothing wrong with either way. It's just sometimes you're just lucky. And I had the nice $2 million lotto ticket on that one, or 30-second lotto ticket.
That's great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's fun, man. Mine are 8 and 10, and every phase has its perks, has its challenges, but it's just everything it's so awesome and then we get to do it here. Like yesterday, my kid's Riv is getting barrels at T Street, and he look every time he'd look up, and I'd rate his barrels.
Oh yeah.
Heck yeah.
And I'm like, he's starting to kind of charge a little bit. Like it was probably 2 to 3 foot, and but it was really peaky, and there was a lot of little barrels, and he was in the water for like 4 hours.
That's epic.
Every barrel he looked up, that was a 5. You didn't really, you didn't come out.
You didn't come out, yeah.
You know? But it's so much fun.
Yeah. I can only imagine. I mean, I think that's, my dad says it best. He's like, my favorite moments, because we go to Baja with my dad, and he's like met a few words. So it's like bringing your dog with you, where he just sits next to you and he's your road dog.
Sure.
So he'll eventually at one point be like, I really have nothing else to talk about. And I'm like, all right, Dad, cool. Awesome. All right.
Yeah,
I'll
we'll
keep
just-
bringing up topics then. Yeah. Unless you get them on politics, then it's a whole different story. Then that'll go for hours. But yeah, no, it's funny is when my dad will say his favorite things is being in Baja, watching us surf or watching me surf, and then watching people come up and go, dude, your son got a good one. He's like, there's no better feeling than being like proud of your son already. And then having someone else go, damn, that was really cool. And I was like, that's gotta be pretty insane.
Yeah. Gives me chills. when you
Yeah,
say
me
that, 'cause
too.
I fully agree with that.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So you love Baja though, like
Ugh.
Baja.
If I could spend my life down there and just be cruising down there, my wife wouldn't like it, but I would love it because I just
You could live down down there.
figure
Like
it
if
out.
there were another place, it's like, hey, you got
Yeah.
San Clemente, you get a second place,
Yeah,
Baja.
Baja. I think Baja would be rad. I like the rustic part of it. I like when you're even in Cabo, it's like there's really cool spots out there that are just insane, where you can have your own compound. You can be out in the middle of nowhere, but then you could be surfers are showing up and you're hanging out, chit chat with them and having fun. But yeah, I love it. I think the people are rad. The locals are cool. It's the whole experience is just so relieving and so different, and it gets away from like the rustle and bustle.
Totally. It's probably what we used to have, right? Like it's just really an extension as you continue down the coastline. But I bet San Clemente in the 1800s, early 1900s probably had that Baja feel,
Sure.
and
I
maybe
bet
that's
you
why
was
we
a
love
lot
it so
sooner
much.
than that, dude.
Probably a lot sooner than that. Probably the 60s and 70s.
Yeah. When we saw those pictures with Jason,
Yep.
like
Yep.
some of those pictures in the 50s when his grandpa was down here.
Oh my
That's epic.
goodness.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
it's like farmland.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're like, holy crap, that's Lost Winds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
There's one house.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, there's cows and acreage behind it.
yeah. That's the best.
But the best part of it is we do have a ocean military base.
It's the best.
We can only get so big.
Yeah.
So like, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Like, and we got to preserve it. And
Yep. What do you see in the restaurant scene for, like, what would you forecast over the next 5, 7, 10 years here in San Clemente?
I mean, I see it's turning into that. I mean, eventually they're going to have to figure out. I think our biggest part right now is parking. Parking is our biggest issue here, and it affects the growth a little bit. But having the trolleys in where you can pick up down at the outlets and then shuffle them back in, it gives it so it's a nice little addition.
sure.
Even having the high school where they're doing that too, and they're dropping people off there. But the food scene is going to be more restaurants are going to try to come in. It's just about finding how we can have all these people get in here without having it being too clustered. And it's going to get a little congested. It's going to have those because it is going to be more and more popular. I mean, for us, just having the restaurants from across from each other, the ping pong back and forth and that synergy that goes between, if they can't get in here, they get in here. That vibe really starts just adding to the extending Del Mar. Like Del Mar is not just only the spot where there's food. It's like now they're coming up a little bit more that way. So I believe that whole thing from JD's, Red Fox to, Sonny's, I think that street's going to turn into the big food scene.
Like Restaurant Row.
I think you're going to get a lot more people trying to put more in there.
Yep. People forget how big San Clemente is because what's the capacity at the Vine? Is it 100, 100?
Yeah, we're like so we can do, it's 94 seats.
Yep. And how many people in San Clemente? 60,000+ people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Vine. It's like 94 seats. It's like, and you can turn that over a couple, two or three times a night. Again, 300 people. That's not that many people.
No.
It sounds like a lot, but with, like a big picture looking at how many people are in San Clemente.
Yeah. And we're now just adjusting with Talega.
Exactly.
Which we all didn't like when it first came out. We were like, but you know what it did? It made it so we went from having just a couple restaurants to being able to have restaurants survive and have more quality stuff come
Absolutely.
along. And we needed that push towards that. And La Plata, it kind of sucks, but it's added that again. Rancho, what they call it,
Mission Viejo. Rancho Mission Viejo. Yep.
They're shuffling in there, and they're giving more to San Clemente. To be honest, the beach community is getting more out of it, and it's part of what we needed to enhance what we have.
Yep.
But it takes away from we all like our little part of. We all have a little bit of that ghetto San Clemente in us.
Sure.
I want to wear flip flops, trunks. I want to go get a beer and I want to hang out and be a little dirty around the
Sure.
edges.
Yeah.
But we also like the part where like, hey, I can dress up a little bit and be nice and have a nice place to go to, and I don't have to worry about riffraff and the party zone being in here.
Yep. I know we talk about it, right? The
Well, that's
80s.
what we gotta,
It's
we
happening.
gotta preserve that.
Yeah, we do.
Because I think having restaurants in other cities, I think San Clemente does a good job of staying San Clemente, if that makes any sense. Like, it's not quite the Newport, right?
Yeah.
Laguna Beach has its own vibe. San Clemente has its own vibe, and I think if the growth happens maybe too quickly, that maybe parking's a good thing. That it slows it a little bit, so it can be a little bit more picky and choosy and shape it the way you want it. I think that's important. I mean, that's what we're trying to do here is like preserve a little bit of these stories and highlight success in town. Yeah. Showing next generations the path, the framework, what kind of work it takes, being a workaholic, putting in your time, getting experience from different parts of the country, the world. That's what we're trying to do. And I think that San Clemente, everybody involved is in for that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. It's
important.
It is important. I think a lot of people, San Clemente has some of the top execs from every type of business, which is really cool. Pro athletes, everything, pro surfers, all those things. You blend them all together. And there's a lot of people that travel from other places and end up coming here and going, I think I want a house here too. Sure. And they're big execs from something else. And they're all coming to San Clemente, and they're all worked really hard to get to where they're at.
Right.
I mean, these are the people that worked hard to get somewhere and being like, damn, this place is amazing, and I want to be part of it, and I want to have a little piece of it. But they've all put in so much time and effort to get to where they're at to be able to be here. And it's not just like trying to be the new money guy, trying to be the cool guy here. It's like, you don't know, half of these people.
That kind of doesn't fly either. Like,
no,
people don't really care.
No, like the guy,
they don't.
I love, my favorite story is when I worked at Charlie Palmer's, and a guy would pull up in his Lexus, and it was like a crappy old 92 Lexus. This was like 2002, 2003. And he would pull up in his crappy Lexus that he had, and his other cars were a Bentley, a Rolls-Royce Phantom with a driver, and had a big house on the hill. But he would pull up, he just liked that car, and he would drive that there, and some guy was there trying to give him a hard time because he was wearing sandals and short shorts and his Hawaiian shirt. Right. And the guy's like, bro, I have more money than all of you, and I don't care about my money at all. You're the only person that cares because you're obviously wearing the big watch. You're driving, you think you're a really expensive Mercedes. And he's like, all my other cars are 4 times your car. It's like, but he's just the guy who's just the casual, mellow guy. And it's like, that's San Clemente in a nutshell. It's like, we do not care.
We do not care.
Not care.
Down
it's
to earth.
Past that initial rat race. Yeah. You're either past it or you grew up here. Yeah. And it's like, people that are ending up settling down here are kind of done with that scene. Yeah. And want to go to the Vine, want to go have a nice restaurant, have a nice cocktail, but they want to wear sandals and shorts.
Yeah. And feel comfortable. They want to have cruising. That. We don't need to be too uppity or showy. No. It's not about that.
We just want to live this awesome life that we have here in our amazing beach town. Yeah. And hopefully build it for our kids, right? You want to have, your kid living here and like the generations to come. And it's hard. It's expensive, right? And it's only getting more expensive. Yeah. And, if we can help the generations, below us and our kids, find a way and a path to figure out how to make that dream happen for them. Because the last thing you want to see is all of our kids having to, get pushed out of here. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's just hard. So to your point, right? If we can show people the way and share the stories like, you have, and, show people the way, and because you've had to work your tail off to get where you're at.
Yeah. It's
nothing was handed to you. No. That did not come easy, and it will never for anybody.
No, I think people forget that hard work and determination is 90% of what you're doing. There's 10% luck. Hey, I wish I was a Bitcoin guy and put a bunch of money on that and been stoked on winning the lottery pretty much at that point. I was not. Nope. So I'm going to stick with just Gabe coin, and I'm just going to keep working with that and try to keep putting all my energy into that, and hopefully that pays off. And that's what we've kind of gone with.
And you can tell people it doesn't happen overnight.
No. And I think long-term success is short-term stuff is very rare. unless you're blessed and there's something that you're really good at that no one else is good at, or you won the lottery, there is no short term. It's long term success, and it's building something that's hard to push down the hill, but it will get momentum once you start going. But it's going to take a long time to get down there.
For sure.
Yep. And how satisfying is that, right? Like,
it's
like your proud dad moment, right?
Yeah.
These restaurants are your babies.
Oh yeah.
And you are proud when someone says, "That's my favorite restaurant," or "I love this drink," or whatever. It's like little baby wins make you feel good because it's been a lot of work.
Yeah, there's nothing but when we were opening up Parlor, I was like, "Gosh, this thing's got to work. I swear it's gonna work." And I know that the energy and the effort that we put into it, it's gonna work. But you struggle so hard trying to put so much time and effort into it to get it there. And then once you start getting, that was awesome. That was awesome. And oh, wow, the food was good. And oh, the service was great. You're just like, oh my God, thank God that worked. And it's the effort that you did put into it. Like I was saying to you guys, I was like 42 days straight. At least I would say 20 of those days were 16-hour days, and you come home and you leave at 9, you don't get home till 11, and
brutal.
You're literally, I have from 7:30 to 9 to hang out with my wife and kid and just talk. And I get back to my house around 11:30, and I'm like, talk to my wife because she's a night owl, and I'll sit there and chit chat and say, "How was your day? And what's going on?" Same thing. Just wish you guys were around. I'm like, I wish I was around too. But I know if you want to get it done, there's only one way, and that's putting in the time and effort into it.
Yeah.
Well, do you ever doubt yourself, like during that process? Are you ever even questioning, like, what if this doesn't work?
So when we bought Vine, I was like, there's no way we can lose on this. But it's also our first one going in there. And so you buy in and you're like, my dad's like, you're crazy for putting that money in there for that. I don't think restaurants always lose. And I'm like, we're not going to. There's no way. And if I could go back more, my dad would have been like, I'll give you as much money as you want for this thing. But you do the first one and you start getting this confidence. And then the second one you open, you're like, oh, we have something here. And the third one hits and you're like, oh no, I feel it now. There's the confidence. We're building that culture and everything, consistency. And then the fourth one hits and you're like, okay, now I feel that no matter what we do, it'll succeed. You just lose that doubt. Doubt starts getting smaller because you know you can keep doing a consistent process than what people want and need.
Yeah.
But opening something new with pizza, I was like, here we go. Are we going to get this dough right? Are we going to get this? And I'm like, I have enough faith in my team and Jared to get it right. And he's not let us down once yet. So it always worked. Everything's always worked out. But the doubt is always there. It's just, you got to believe in yourself too.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
That was a quick, we feel we could do this all day.
Absolutely. I know I always say I want to keep going, but I know, I mean, we obviously appreciate you and your time. And again, one of the few days you probably have off. In fact, you're probably working tonight.
Oh yeah, I was working before this, and we had so like anything, there's always something, but Parlor had a little issue with the pizza oven. And it was like yesterday I had to go in there on my day off and call up someone, try to get someone in. And obviously these days, everything you do, you're babysitting your vendors, and you're like, your vendors should be the people doing everything for you. But you have to second check them and be like, hey, this isn't working. Do you have another person to use? Oh yeah, we have this person to use. Let me call them. Oh, they can't do it today. Is there another one? Okay, there's another one. Oh, he can come today? Why didn't you guys just call all three of them and get this guy to come in? Now you're making me do it. And I'm like, it's a warranty thing, but it's just funny things like that where people forget how much extra time and effort we have to put in to babysit our vendors and people. And if you want to be good at it,
you got to do it.
You got to do it. It's like construction. People complain about not being able to get their jobs done. And I'm like, well, are you on top of their ass? Do you give them a sheet to be like, hey, you need to have this done today, this is done tomorrow? And are you asking them questions? Most people don't. They're just like, oh, the construction workers are going to do it for me. I'm like, no, they're not.
No.
You literally have to be up their butts.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's to get things done. That's how it is these days. It sucks. Yeah. It's not like the old school days where people just did it anyways. It's like that's the only reason that restaurant's open. It's because we were literally
babysitting, pounding.
I call it foot puppeting at this point, but it was like literally up everyone's butt. Like, hey, is this coming? Are you guys gonna be here today? Okay, I'll be there. I'll see you there. And then double checking, triple checking, and it's crazy. It's a wild time now where how much more babysitting you have to do on vendors and all that stuff.
Why?
People are just human. It's literally the way people are now.
Evolution.
They do the bare minimum to get by instead of trying to do their job perfectly. They just try to do really enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it's
Be good at it.
yeah.
Be the best at it. No matter what you do, be the absolute best at it.
Favorite quote. This has stuck with me since I was a kid.
Mm.
This guy goes, you always need to be number 1 or number 2. Number 3 is not acceptable. Number 1 and number 2, you have to be them because they're the people always, either the person on top or the person striving to be number 1. And either one of those people, if you're not any of them, there's no reason you're doing it. So whatever job I ever did, it was this guy, what was his name? Demean, I think his name was. Super cool guy. And he literally was like, you're either number 1 or number 2. No one else matters. And you got to be the best at whatever you do. And I'm like, every job I worked at, I wanted to be either one of those people and be like the best or the one trying to be the best every time.
Right.
And it's everything I've ever done is like, I want to be the best at it. So it's hard, but people literally are just okay with being taking the bronze or getting 4th or 5th or just passing. I'm like, that's not how I want to be. I want to be number 1 or number 2. Right. That's all I want.
That's unbelievable. I was going to ask like any advice, that you would share with a aspiring young entrepreneur, but you have shared more gems and more pieces of advice than I think Brian or I could have asked for.
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah. Well, I love these things. If you ever need someone else, I'll do it again. It's always
Sure.
Well, try to open up some more restaurants.
Yeah. Thanks for adding to the community, dude.
Yes.
Pouring into it.
Yeah.
We always feel special when we come in, and the community should be stoked on Parlor, and the food was great, service was great, drinks were good.
Heck yeah.
So
Yep.
kudos, dude.
Yep.
Thanks for all the hard work.
That's all we got is we're leaving a footprint here. We got to make sure we do the best we can.
Yep. Awesome. Well, Gabe Whorley, one of the founders, partners of the Vine, now the Parlor in San Clemente, huge asset to the community of San Clemente. Gabe, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it. Thank you for listening in. Join us for another episode next week, coming to you from our studio on Del Mar in downtown San Clemente. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at the San Clemente Podcast and subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify so you never miss an episode.